Well, winter doesn't officially start until December 21st, but here we are in December, which in Greeley means it could snow today, it could snow tomorrow, or it could be sunny. But in order for us to make sure that our Greeley residents are ready and prepared for our winter months, my cohort here today, we got James Redmond from the Communications Engagement Department. We're going to talk about all things winter and making sure that you are prepped and ready to go. James, great to have you here.
Thanks for bundling up and joining me today.
I know, we actually got a little bit of taste of winter today when we're taping. It is a little bit chilly out here, which is fitting. So we're going to start with some information that we received from our great department of the Greeley PD, and that has to do with people's cars and being warm in the wintertime, puffing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
So it's when it's cold outside, you got the car going, you want to let it warm up a little bit, but maybe you don't want to be in the car while it's warming up.
Sure.
So sometimes there's the idea that maybe you leave the car out there puffing, heating up while you're inside. And what we're asking folks to do is to not do that. It's bad for a few reasons. It's not great environmentally just to leave a car sitting there running. It's also not great because your car's there running with the keys in it, which means that it's possible someone could run over, jump in the car, just press down on the gas and take off. And that does happen sometimes here in Greeley.
Yeah, so there's some different ways that you can go about that if you really do want to have that warm car. Some vehicles are already set up with some kind of anti-theft systems where you can remote start your car, but the car is still locked. And so that's an option. And then there's also, if you want to get one of those, I can't remember what they're called, the bar that goes across your steering wheel.
You've got that too. You've got a few ways to protect your car. It's important because it just opens an opportunity for theft, and then that means that there's potential problems that come from that theft, and it's just not good for the community. So that actually is a ticketable offense. We like to let people know about that. It's not just bad for you and bad for the environment. It could be something that results in a ticket for you. If you're interested in seeing some stats about that, the Greeley Police Department has some great information on their social media channels about puffing and the numbers and what that looks like for our community.
Yeah, because it definitely does have an impact, and it could have an impact on your pocketbook. I'm glad that you mentioned about the ticketable offense, because it does come down to money at the end of the day, and making sure that you're taking care of your property. So we're going to shift things just a little bit to indoors. We're going to go from the outside to the inside. And during the holiday seasons and when things start to get cold, we're always looking again for ways to keep warm, but sometimes those may not be the safest or best options.
Well, I like to think there's two things that we want to keep in mind: keeping warm and keeping safe.
Yep.
So some information, jumping over to one of our other great first responder departments, the Greeley Fire Department. They wanted to let us share a little bit of information about space heaters. They're a great tool to warm up a part of your house that's a little cold, but there are some safety considerations you want to keep in mind with that. Don't plug a space heater into an extension cord. That's a big one. And make sure when you're placing that space heater, there's plenty of space around it, usually at least 3 feet on any side.
Okay.
That way, as the really strong heat comes off the space heater, you don't have as high a risk of that causing any problems for you. So a few other safety things we always like to let people know in the winter, and that's going to be, go ahead and get your heating system checked. If you have a chimney, get that cleaned and checked. That's a really great way to stay safe and to stay warm in the winter.
Sure.
And whenever we're talking fire safety, it's always great to say, hey, check the batteries in your smoke alarms. That's really good to know. And they asked us to also throw in there to please not use your ovens to heat your house either in the winter.
Okay, so I can't say that I know that I've never thought of using my oven to heat the house, but when you need to heat things up, you kind of become, I don't want to say desperate, but you get some ideas. So that's a great thing to know or consider, is to not use that.
Yeah, it's once again, we want you to stay warm. We also want you to stay safe, and that's just not a safe way to heat your house in the winter.
All right, so I'm going to take us back outside again. And this time, of course, with the holidays, there could be a lot of travel involved, or just traveling from place to place around town. A few more tips that folks might want to keep in mind as they're in their cars and going from place to place to keep safe.
Well, you might see one of these amazing plows like we have behind us here today out on our streets. You're going to see those whenever we've got a winter storm or snow and ice on the roads. The first thing I always like to tell people is make sure you give the plows room to work. They're big machines.
Yep.
They're moving along. They're clearing the streets. So give them space. Let them do their job. Additionally, when it's snowing, it's always advisable to check the road conditions. Leave yourself extra time to get there so you're not in a rush and you can pay attention and stay safe. And on snowy days, if you don't need to drive, it's always better if you don't. But,
Well,
but of course, there are some days you have to, so just leave yourself time, be safe, get where you're going in one piece.
Right, and something that I always like to encourage for my kiddos who are driving, make sure that you have a few supplies in the car, some blankets, maybe even some granola bars or something, just in case you get stuck somewhere.
There's a few things like that you can always keep with you. Warm clothes is great. A snack or two is really good. A couple that I personally keep in my vehicle, and I always encourage folks out here to do, is to have some sort of like road treatment. Some people will use like cat litter or road salts that help get your car out. It's also not a bad idea to have a snow shovel ready to go.
All right, so we covered a lot of territory there, from puffing and to safety measures for inside your home and in your car. And all of that information is available in a number of different ways. Can we give folks an idea of what that might be? Grab your pen, this will be a little bit.
So there's a lot of resources, but a quick place for you to go is to check out the social media accounts for our fire department, our police department, and our City of Greeley accounts. There's a lot of up-to-date information about safety and environmental things on all of those. So check those out, and you can go to websites for all of those as well. Here's websites for the city, the police department, and the fire department's information's up on the city's website too.
Okay. All right, James, thanks so much for being here today, for braving the weather, getting to stand by this bad boy back here behind us. We'll be seeing more of those, I'm sure, this winter. So again, make sure that you are prepared for the winter weather this year. Don't be caught out in the cold. Yes, pun intended. And again, for more information on all of this, be sure to check out social media as well as the websites. You have greeley.gov.com, you have greeleypd.com, as well as greeleyfire.com. Check them out.